How's it going, everybody? Stop by live episode of Real Estate Titans. I'm your host, Greg Fowler, traveling throughout the marketplace in the field from realtors, lenders, really drive producers above and beyond everybody else and what I consider a real estate titan. And for today, CEO of the Adams, Tyrone, thanks so much for taking the time.
Great, thanks for having me.
This is an absolute honor. I know there's some dive in a little deeper to get to know you as a man, as a business professional, that sort of thing. So
okay,
let's just dive in if that's cool.
That's cool.
So tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a native of Denver, Colorado. I grew up in the East Denver Park Hill area, back and forth. I'm the second youngest of 5 children.
Wow.
4 boys, 1 girl.
Okay.
And my mother had her hands full, trust me.
I was going to say, yeah.
Graduated from Emmanuel High School, went on to University of Northern Colorado, played football there for 4 years.
Love it.
What's a bear? Always a bear.
Well, I was going to say, in talking about football, because we are in football country here in Colorado, but what position, that sort of thing?
So I was a defensive back.
Okay.
And I had some honors coming from there. We were pretty good. I would like to say that.
Okay.
We had a team that was very passionate, worked hard, we prepared hard, and we turned that program around. We helped turn that program around.
Love it.
Yeah.
Very cool. So after that, your football career, that sort of thing, what was the next in your life?
So the next in my life, I graduated that same year, my senior year, and I would say the next thing in my life was looking for a job. You get out of college just like most people do, and my resumes were out there, and I thought it was just going to come easy. But it didn't come easy, and I had resumes out everywhere.
Okay.
And then when I realized that those weren't going to come in as quick as I wanted them to, I just started applying for any job because my mother couldn't support me, and I knew that, and so I needed to have a job right away. And I started working when I was 13.
Okay.
So that was just another transition for me. Yes, I'm out of school, and I'm self-reliant now, self-independent. So I wanted to make sure that I had a job to pay my bills, and of course, sometimes those student loans sneak up on you, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But so I had to start paying my bills, and so finally Samsonite called me, and Samsonite was my first job out of college.
Wow.
I applied everywhere. Trust me, Greg, and when they called me, I was like, I really don't want to work on an assembly line. But I knew that I just needed to do what I needed to do to take care of myself.
Sure.
So I went to work at Samsonite. That lasted all of about a month and a half.
Short-lived.
But I didn't quit. I didn't quit the job before I had another job because, once again, that was not my end goal.
Sure.
That was the place I was at that time.
Right.
My goal was still to find a job in the advertising communication world. So I kept pushing forward. I kept scanning the newspaper at the time, Rocky Mountain News, Denver Post.
Cool.
There really wasn't a lot of stuff online at that time. And I saw an ad in the Rocky Mountain News for Houston Tracker Systems / EchoStar, which is now called Dish Network.
Wow, okay.
And that job was something that I didn't really go to school for, but it was to generate reports in DBase.
Interesting.
And I don't know if anybody knows DBase. That was before HTML.
There's some people out there that know exactly what you're talking about.
The screens were black and green back in those days, right?
That's right.
But so that's the job I got. That was my next step.
Okay.
It was a better paying job, and it got me off the assembly line. And that's hard work. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking that at all.
Right.
It just wasn't for me. I said, this is what I went to school for. I went to school to get into education communication and advertising.
Right.
And so I wanted to make sure that I was progressing. This was a progression. This is another step for me to get to where I wanted to go.
Love it.
So I went there and I started generating reports in DBase, and it was a great job. And I learned all that stuff while I was in college.
Okay.
So I just used those skills there, and then all of a sudden I started looking again because I got bored. And what I mean by I got bored, the job became too easy for me.
Sure.
It was regimented. So things were there. I go in at 7 o'clock in the morning. By 10 o'clock I was done, then I was on call the rest of the day.
Wow.
And I was like, okay. I started programs like a volleyball tournament, basketball tournament, but I wasn't really progressing myself. I wasn't challenging myself.
Okay.
So I started scanning the papers again, and And lo and behold, I saw a position open with the Colorado Association of Realtors in 1993.
Wow, 93. Everybody.
93,
okay.
I know. And it was for the communications / meeting and events coordinator.
Okay.
And I remember applying for this job, and first of all, I was like, where the heck is Inverness?
Right.
And when I drove out here, I was lost.
Yeah.
Because there's Inverness everywhere out here.
Sure.
And so
there's west, there's
west,
south, there's yeah, I hear you.
Try east, there's like, so I got lost. And so I'm driving around, I finally made it, and I remember the interview very well, and while I was doing my interview, they had us do this writing sample for them, live.
Okay.
And I did the writing sample, and before I could hit save, the power went out.
Whoa.
And
Okay.
they didn't, do you think they had any sympathy for me whatsoever? No, they did not. They said, okay, well, I'm sorry, but you got 5 minutes left to finish it. So I had to go back and I had to redo the whole thing in 5 minutes. And lo and behold, they called me, they gave me, they said, they offered me the job.
Okay.
I was very excited about that. I later on found out that I was their second choice.
Interesting.
I was actually their second choice.
Okay.
And I'm very happy, you know.
Yeah,
that
sure.
I'll end up being their first choice. I mean,
Right.
their choice, but I was their second choice. But when I got into this association, I immediately wanted to start my career. It was my
Okay.
path to advertising communications. It was another step.
Right.
I did not plan on being here, but now 25 years later, I'm still with the Colorado Association of Realtors, and my journey has been amazing. I always tell people that I've been all over the place in this association. My day is never the same, and some of that is just is naturally,
Sure.
but other times it's because I'm never satisfied with where I'm at.
Wow.
So I like to challenge myself.
Yeah, and that's a huge story, obviously, in progression into your life and what you've done and where you're at now. You wouldn't be the man you are today without going through and pushing forward. I guess challenging yourself that way,
Right.
to not settle for what's in front of you, but to continue to grow. And I mean, look at you now, at CEO.
You know,
I mean, that's
right,
a different step right there for sure. So, what was your thought and progression at the Colorado Association of Realtors? I mean, to going through your career to right now.
So my thought at the Colorado Association of Realtors was, okay, I know that I wanted to take the next step to be a director. While I was a coordinator, both of my bosses had decided to pursue other careers at that time. And I would tell you that I just didn't feel like I was ready to make that next step, take that jump.
Sure.
It was really like a confidence in myself, and which was it's okay.
Yeah.
But I knew I was like, I'm not ready for that, and so I didn't take it.
Okay.
So I said, well, let me make sure that I'm prepared the next time any opportunities arise. So I was really disappointed in myself that I wasn't prepared to take that next step, but I knew I was just young to the game.
Okay.
And so what I did was I started becoming more involved in certain things,
Okay.
learning more about the Realtor Association and what it had to offer, and start creating more, think about different processes we could use to be better, you know. So like we converted our Excel from Flex, our housing statistics from Flex, and I converted that over into an Excel
Okay.
spreadsheet.
Love it.
Which Excel was just now coming onto the scene, and I knew, because I was working in DBase, right? So I
Right.
translated some of that stuff over into Excel, and so I was able to keep myself charged and re-energized by doing those type of things.
Wow.
And I was while learning more about the association.
Love it.
And then I also then my original boss, Michelle Olson, left and went over to the Home Builders Association.
Okay.
And she provided me an opportunity that I just couldn't pass up, which was she saw something in me where she wanted me to come over there and start a new communication division. They never had one.
Wow.
And when she brought me over there, she said, this is yours. Make it what you wish to make it, but make it for the members.
Love it.
And so I'm like, wow. I couldn't pass up that opportunity.
For sure.
And so I went over there for about 13, 14 months.
Okay.
And it was a great experience. She moved on, and I was there with another boss who was great as well, but I was also coaching at the time. And I knew what I really wanted. My family was really new, and I was married, and I had one child already. There was four at the time, and had another one on the way. And,
Wow.
And so I was like, okay, I can't work these long hours and still take care of my family.
Sure.
And coach, because coaching was a passion of mine.
Wow.
And so what happened was that I was going to stick there. I was sticking it out, but we were working like 12 to 14-hour days. And I remember me being down in my grandmother's house in Texas, and I got a phone call from one of my colleagues who became the CEO when I had left.
Okay.
And she said that we would like to offer you the communication director job. Doug McPherson at the time, who was my boss, left. I was like, "Are you okay? I'm interested. Let's talk when I get back."
Sure.
And I was very honored, first of all, and that they would even call me down at my grandmother's house in Texas. They didn't know that number,
Wow.
but they did. So I came back, and long story short, they hired me back.
Okay.
And so that's where I started my career off again. It took another jump.
Okay.
And I was really happy to be back here because I've been around the realtors, and when I was here the first time, they treated me very, very well.
Right.
And I got to connect with them. I got to know a lot of them, not only on a business level, but also on a personal level.
Right.
And so, and I saw what they did. They had a cause. They helped people with home ownership.
Love it.
They served a purpose, and I'm a cause person.
Yeah.
So I was very happy to be back over here and to be a part of this family again. And then my journey just kind of took off.
Wow.
And along the way, it wasn't just about the Realtor Association anymore. It was more about becoming an association professional. And what I can do, I didn't have any aspiration to be the CEO.
Sure.
It was more about what can I do to be the best person I can at this job that I'm in now. I was a director of communications. What can I do to take this to the next level? And so I joined groups like ASAE, which is the American Society of Association Executives, and then CSAE, which is the Colorado Society of Association Executives, just to learn more about the association world. There I earned my CAE, which is the Certified Association Executive designation, and then I earned also my RCE with the Realtor Association, which is the Realtor Certified Executive.
Wow.
And that wasn't just self-serving. It wasn't for my resume. It was so I could be better at my job.
Right.
How can I communicate with our members? How can I connect more with the members? And so that was my whole journey with that. And then all of a sudden I just kept weaving my way through the association, taking on any job they wanted to give me.
Sure.
Some were good, some were bad.
Right.
But it led me to this position here. And when this position opened up, I saw that I was prepared.
Right.
So going back all the way to when I first started here, and I wasn't prepared to take that leap of faith then, and I feel like I was prepared, I make sure that I was prepared for my next time.
I love it, and I think that's a beautiful progression in your career. Is you didn't just step into this role without the background and knowledge. This was years and years of grooming and learning and growing, communicating with the other associations, and then internally. Just so everybody knows, and again, anybody who's watching this and knows this man already, I mean, Tyrone, you're very loved and respected in the community. What you do and continue to do, everybody out there, you're top notch. And so everybody involved with the Colorado Association of Realtors here locally in Colorado is thankful that you're here. And what you've done and continue to do is huge. So, I mean, I just have to state that right out the bat. Keep doing what you're doing because it's working, whatever's going on there. So, I think this is a beautiful segue into the next question, which is, what's your why, Tyrone? I mean, what really motivates you, gets you out of the bed in the morning to really do what you do to the level that you do it at?
Well, as we discussed earlier, your why changes as you get older in life, right?
Yes.
So my why when I first started this journey was I wanted a job in advertising communication.
Right.
And then my why has become I wanted a better life for my family. Because when I first started this journey, I didn't have a family of my own. But my why became I wanted a better life for my family. And then part of my why always at getting up is to be the best person I can every day.
Okay.
How can I help someone? How can I serve other people?
Yeah.
And so that's just something that's always been put in me, or I've always wanted to do.
Okay.
Because when other people are happy, you're happy.
Yeah,
When
truly.
you don't focus on yourself, it always makes everything a little bit better.
I think that's a beautiful portion into why and what drives you. I mean, the level of honesty and humility that comes out of that is huge, Tyrone. Putting others above yourself, talking about your family and talking about your extended family in the association. I mean, all that is really, really good. And obviously that pushes everybody further. Money only does so much and it goes so far, right? We all have to make a living. I understand that. More you make, more you can give. But it has to be more. And everybody that's represented on this series, as far as Titans are concerned, that they really have that driving force to make the community a better place, to make an impact and a positive, not just for themselves, but for so many more. So represented 100% in
Right.
that, Tyrone. That's great stuff. So let's go on to the next portion, which happens to be kind of the advisory portion of this. Now, there's a lot of real estate professionals that obviously watching this series and trying to get different nuggets from the Titans as far as what they do with their work ethic and how they motivate themselves and really take their business to new heights. So if you could take a look at either your business or other professionals that you've engaged with and interacted with for some insight into taking business from one level to the next, implementation of technology, systems, support staff, what does that look like for you?
Well, preparation, first of all.
Okay.
So, and what I mean by preparation is you're preparing to succeed. You're preparing to take risk. And so when you look at what you're trying to do, I always want to try to make sure that I understand who I'm dealing with. Who's my customer? So I'm talking to you, you're my customer.
Sure.
So what's your experience? When you walk away from me, I want you to have a positive experience walking away from me saying, I like Tyrone.
Yeah.
I think he has something to offer. Because that wasn't always the case with me growing up.
All right.
Where I walked away from some people where I was like, I don't want to deal with this person ever again in life.
That was
Right?
horrible.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
But so when people walk away from me, I want to make sure that they are always have a positive experience. I want to know about them. I want to, so that way, when you know about someone, then you can give them the experience that they're expecting from you. Right?
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things I always try to do is make sure that I'm prepared.
Okay.
The next thing is I always want to make sure that I'm thinking beyond just today. What's coming down the pipeline? If anybody, you could talk to anybody that knows me very well, and my mind's always twisting. I don't turn off. My wife says, turn your brain off, go to bed. And I have a hard time turning my brain off because I'm always thinking about the what if. What if we did this? How much better would it be for whoever I'm about to interact with?
Sure.
Or now it's really how much better it's going to be for our members. I mean, a lot of my mind focus is really in giving our members the experience that they need. Giving my staff, my team, the tools and resources they need to be the best they can be. So I'm here to serve them.
Okay.
While I have the title of CEO, I'm really here to serve them and give them the tools they need to be successful. It's not really about me anymore. It's just about them and it's about the members. Then if they're successful and they're happy, I'm good.
Yeah, everybody
right?
wins.
Everybody
Right.
wins.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's going back to who you are as a man and a professional. Obviously, that giving heart, that mentality of the mutual success is everything. It isn't about you; it's about the sum of all parts, and that's huge for everybody to know. But that's any good leader, and there's a lot of takeaways into that for everybody who's listening or watching this. Is that something we can really take to heart? Well, I love what you said earlier too. Is just talking about really understanding who you're with. For the real estate professionals out there, buyers, sellers, investors, your different clientele, really caring about what their story is and what their background is and really trying to do the best possible job for them, completely selfless, I think is a really, really huge takeaway. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. So hopefully everybody wrote that down. This is really, really good stuff. So that was great stuff. Now let's go into the tricky part, Tyrone, because this is always the tough part of this particular series is the challenge question. Now, we all deal with challenges in our life, whether it's in the past, now, or in the future. No one's exempt. But I think the most important thing for everybody to take away is that it's not so much what happens, but how we respond that really, truly makes a difference. So if you could share a challenge that you've dealt with in your life, that you overcame, became a stronger man because of it, what does that look like for you?
Well, I don't know if I became a man. When I think about that question, there's one thing that always comes to mind. And that was the day that... like I said, there's 5 of us. My sister's older than the 4 boys. When my mother was shot by my stepfather. And so you can imagine how our life just became confusing. Our world became confusing. And it turned upside down for us.
Yeah.
And then all the years leading up to that. Because that happened when I was about 11 years old.
Okay.
So leading all the way through that, and we didn't have our mother for... however long she was in the hospital. I think it was about a year and a half.
Okay.
And so with 5 kids, the family did come in and help out, but you're going to do so much. It's different when you don't have your mother there with you.
Oh, yeah.
And but when she finally came back to us, just the perseverance she had. She was a paraplegic.
Okay.
Okay. And so, no, she's a partial paraplegic.
Okay.
And so she couldn't walk. She was wheelchair bound. And so what happened was her perseverance of getting out there and still working for many, many years, taking care of us the best she could, and providing for us was awesome. So that was like my moment of, if she can do it, then I can do it.
Sure.
You know, we can overcome these things. So we kept going to school, and we kind of checked each other. We kind of kept each other in check.
Okay.
And we knew that Mom wouldn't like this, and we would use that phrase a lot.
I love
you know,
it.
Mom wouldn't like that. You know, Mom wouldn't like that.
That's great.
And we would always use that when we knew that we were going down the wrong path.
Okay.
Now, don't get me wrong, it wasn't perfect, because as kids, still growing up, we made some bad choices. There were some bad judgments. I mean, think about it. I mean, but
that's everybody.
right.
Yeah.
But we kept each other in line, and we kept going forward, and we knew that it was sudden change for us. And I think that we eventually adapted to that change very well. My brothers and sisters, I did.
Sure.
We still graduated. We still went to school when no one told us we had to go to school.
Right.
There's no one really there to say that you had to go to school. And so we still pushed each other through school.
I love that.
And we still kept pushing each other forward. And to this day, we still talk about those type of things and those experiences. We had a challenge in our life.
Right.
We didn't ask for it, but it happened. And I think that made it better for us growing up, because at that point in time, our life changed.
Sure.
It was no longer about us anymore.
Right.
It was about each other. And then when our mother came home, it was about her. Because she needed us to do a lot of things that kids that age shouldn't have to do.
No, 11, 12.
Right.
I mean, yeah, I hear
You shouldn't have to take care of your mother at that age, but life happens.
Right.
And it's about how you deal with it that makes you better.
Agreed.
We all fall down. We all get knocked down. But you got to get back up. And you got to keep fighting.
Wow. I mean, what an amazing story, Tyrone. And for everybody out there, I absolutely appreciate that. It's not easy to do, to air out challenges or struggles in your life, but what an amazing example of a beautiful representation of how you should move on and grow forward, and what a strong representation in your life, but also your family's life. I mean, for your mother to deal with that, first and foremost, crushing, right? But after a year, you know, coming back and still being strong and representing everything for the family and for you guys, but then as individuals, you guys coming together, amazing. I never wish, and I don't think anybody ever wishes anything negative on themselves, but everything that happens to us makes us and molds us. And mine is just, I love you said. I think Mom would like that. I mean, that's the outcome for such a bad situation to start with. So again, sharing that, because it's not easy to do by any means. So hopefully everybody can take that to examples. We all deal with it. You really need to appreciate how blessed you are, that you're up, that you're moving, that you're doing what you're doing. Someone has it worse. Just understand, be appreciative. For everybody to take. So
everything happens for a reason, right?
Yes. Well said. Well, so let's go into a slightly softer topic.
Okay.
You know, because sometimes that gets a little deep. But let's go into actually one of my favorite questions, which comes down to if you could travel back in time and give your younger self a piece of advice or two, what would you say to young Tyrone?
I would say, I've said this to myself before, too.
Okay, all right.
And I have said this to to be more focused. Don't get so easily distracted by everything else.
Okay.
And because if I would have been more prepared, okay, I'm going back to high school and
love it, yeah,
and even college to a certain degree. If I would have prepared myself more with my classwork and things like that, and developed that work ethic there, I would have done a lot better.
Okay.
And I got through, and I did well. Don't get me wrong; it wasn't horrible.
Right.
I did well. I wasn't, but I still look back on those things and said that was a missed opportunity, because I was smarter than that. I was better than that, but I didn't do it.
Okay.
And so I took it for granted.
Wow.
And so there were class assignments that I wasn't prepared for. You know, I prepared for the things that was more important to me at the time.
Sure.
I prepared for football.
Right.
I loved football.
Yeah.
So that's what I wanted to do. So that's what I prepared for. But I wasn't preparing myself for really life lessons, because football, sports, as we all know, can go away anytime.
Right.
I wasn't preparing myself for life lessons. So for those opportunities,
Okay.
you know,
And I think that a lot of people can take a heavy note to that and take away is to always try to be more prepared. There's so many different professionals that are out there that have high levels of personal, financial, spiritual, and health-wise for success. But what people really don't realize is they say, "Oh, they're lucky." That's thrown around a lot. And I think you mentioned a good point is really being lucky is the preparation meeting an opportunity is the luck. So I really love what you said there, and that's for myself included and everybody out there. Try to be more prepared, try to focus a little bit more, because we can all get distracted. It's life, but I think that really is a consistent note with top producers, deep thinkers, that sort of thing. So I think that's great. It's huge advice. So thanks for that, Tyrone. This is really, really good. So let's go into the next portion, which is the feeding of the mind portion. This is actually one of the viewers' favorite sections when it comes down to it, is really understanding what the Titans are feeding their minds, constantly learning and growing and educating. So if you could share maybe some books you're reading, podcasts you're listening to, or influencers on social media, what are you feeding your mind?
Well, my wife would tell me I read on my phone way too much.
Okay.
So I told you to put it down.
That's all right.
But I like human interest stories.
Okay.
To learn about other people's journeys, things that they overcame and how they overcame them, and what were their circumstances. So I like to hear about that. That's kind of inspirational for me.
Yeah.
But then also like to do a lot of self-help books.
Okay.
What I mean by that is, I'm not saying I'm looking for the top 10 tips or stuff like that.
Right.
It's just really reminders about being focused, being prepared, just tips.
Okay.
Things like Simon Sinek.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Leaders eat last. Stuff like that. Trust-based leadership. The purpose fulfill life. Just getting tips on how you can make your life better by helping others. There's one story that I read, human interest story I read. It was about this person was going through a lot of changes in their life. They just lost their job. They were getting divorced. And life was just kind of the pits for them at that time, right? And they said the thing that motivated them was, that changed their life was, they started volunteering. They went out there to help someone else, which in turn helped them.
Unreal.
So those are the type of things that you're in. Go help somebody else.
Sure.
Don't stop helping other people.
Wow.
Invest in other people. So.
There's so much positive nature into that. I think that when you're feeding your mind, there's always a mix, right? So there's the personal and or pleasurable learning and reading and education, but then there's the real taking your business or taking your life somewhere else. And I'm a big fan of the self-help motivational books. I mean, Simon, you mentioned, is fantastic. When it comes down to that, I think that there's, whether you're reading it, listening to it, you're experiencing it in conferences or conversations, I mean, constantly learning and growing is a consistent message throughout the Titan series, and every Titan is always just constantly growing and doing it that way. Yeah. So I think that's great. And just so everybody knows, I'll have a list of those in the comments down below so you can feed your mind the same way that this man does. So Tyrone, this has been chock full of amazing information, tons of takeaways, really getting to know you. Last question to wrap this whole thing up. When it comes down to it, if you could sum up yourself as a man, as a brand, and the legacy that you're laying out with a quote or a mantra that you live by, what does that look like for Tyrone Adams?
Well, I'm going to start off, there's a couple.
Hit me, yeah.
The first one is really faith-based for me.
Okay.
I can do all things through Christ, who strengthens me. That's Philippians 4:13. Because I do think I could do all things, but it's not about me. Once again, it's the tools and resources that I've been blessed with to help others. The other one is always believe in yourself, because there's always going to be a lot of doubters out there, a lot of disruptors, a lot of distractions. It's like the real estate industry, right?
Sure.
There's a lot of disruptors or self-proclaimed disruptors and things like that going on out there. And so, but there's also that with individuals. You're not going to please everybody. Everybody's not going to like you. And there's going to be those distractions and disruptors and those who don't believe in you. You got to believe in yourself. And by believing in yourself, you got to have a winning attitude. You got to have a high performance attitude. You got to prepare yourself for life, for anything that comes your way. In football, we always have this terminology called sudden change. And a lot of times you'll see in sports where something bad happens to a team, and all of a sudden you say, oh, wow, they just can't get out of their slump. They're in a funk, wow. But then what about the championship teams that all of a sudden something bad happens and it doesn't faze them? because they know how to pivot. It's sudden change.
Wow.
So that's what I like to do is make sure that I know life lessons are going to hit us.
Mm-hmm.
Sudden change. Let's go.
That's huge.
Don't give up.
Yeah, I think that sums you up as a man, as a brand, as a professional. There's so much positivity into there. So many takeaways for everybody. So, Tyrone, again, thanks so much for taking the time. You're an official real estate titan, my friend.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And as always, thank you, everybody, for your time and attention, your love and support. Live every Tuesday and Friday afternoons, a different Titan, a different location, and we'll catch all of you on the next live episode of Real Estate Titans. Take care.